On November 24, 2025, the city of Calgary, located in the province of Alberta in Western Canada, awoke to the first significant snowfall of the season. A weather event that would quickly transform what should have been an ordinary Monday morning into a day of transportation disruption, widespread delays, and a stark reminder of how winter can firmly reassert its presence across the Canadian prairies. The snowfall began late Sunday evening, continuing steadily through the night, and by the time daylight spread across the city, a thick layer of snow up to 10 centimeters, or roughly 4 inches, had blanketed roads, sidewalks, parks, neighborhoods, highways, and every corner of the metropolitan area, although early winter snow is not unusual for Calgary, which typically experiences its first measurable snowfall around mid-October. This particular event was the first major snowfall of the late autumn period in 2025, and it arrived with enough accumulation and intensity to catch a large portion of the population off guard. In the hours leading up to sunrise, temperatures hovered around -2 degrees Celsius, or approximately 28 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough for the snow to accumulate rapidly and create a slick, icy foundation underneath the fresh powder. This temperature profile slightly below freezing with intermittent gusts of wind sweeping across the Bow River Valley created the perfect conditions for a snowfall event capable of severely impacting road surfaces. Drivers who might have otherwise expected early season snow to melt quickly instead faced compacted ice hidden beneath a deceptively soft layer of snow. And it was this combination that would ultimately contribute to hundreds of collisions across the city throughout the day. Calgary is no stranger to winter storms, but each season's first major snowfall has a way of exposing the city's vulnerability, especially in the early morning commute when thousands of vehicles pour onto major arteries such as Crowchild Trail, Deerfoot Trail, Glenmore Trail, Memorial Drive, Macleod Trail, and Stony Trail. On this particular Monday, the Monday following the arrival of this late autumn storm system, the roads saw a near-instant deterioration in driving conditions. Snowplows and sanding trucks were deployed early, but the snowfall continued at a steady rate overnight and through the morning hours, making it difficult for crews to keep up with both the accumulation and the formation of ice below it. Between midnight and 11:30 a.m. the Calgary Police Service responded to 186 collisions, including 16 involving injuries and 29 classified as hit-and-run incidents. These are official, confirmed numbers reported by local news outlets on the morning of November 24th, and they represented only the first half of what would become a staggering total by the day's end. As snowfall persisted and traffic volumes increased, the number of collisions across the city climbed rapidly. By late evening, reports indicated that nearly 500 collisions had occurred throughout Calgary, marking one of the most accident-heavy first snowfall days on record. These figures speak not only to the severity of the weather conditions but also to the difficulty many drivers faced in adjusting to winter roads after several months of clear, dry pavement. Calgary Transit, the city's public transportation authority, was also heavily affected by the snow, as buses attempted to navigate slippery hills, tight residential streets, and intersections layered with compact snow. Numerous routes were forced to shift into official snow detour modes, alternate paths designed for safer winter travel. Dozens of routes across the city encountered delays, reroutes, or temporary stoppages as drivers maneuvered carefully around stalled cars, minor collisions, and untreated road segments. The switch to snow detours is a routine procedure during severe weather, but the breadth of the detours on November 24th emphasized the widespread nature of the disruption. Commuters who rely on the transit system, students, office workers, hospital staff, and thousands of others found themselves waiting for delayed buses, trying to navigate on foot through slippery sidewalks, or scrambling to adjust their schedule on a day when few things ran according to plan. Air travel was not spared by the storm's impact. Calgary International Airport (YYC), one of the busiest air transportation hubs in Canada, experienced multiple delays and a growing list of cancellations throughout the morning and early afternoon. Although the airport did not declare a full temporary closure of the runways, as was rumored in some informal online reports, it did implement slowing procedures as crews worked to clear snow from the runways and ice aircraft. Runway clearing operations require precision, coordination, and consistent oversight, especially in active snowfall. And even small delays in the clearing cycle can cascade into larger disruptions across an airport schedule, as the snow continued falling. Passengers seated inside terminal waiting areas monitored departure screens showing rows of yellow delayed labels and growing clusters of red canceled markers. For many travelers, the start of the winter travel season became a sudden exercise in patience. Meteorologists at Environment and Climate Change Canada monitored the storm system as it moved across southern Alberta and into Saskatchewan, tracking its intensity and noting its origins as part of a broader late-autumn weather pattern influenced by cooler Pacific air and an early-season La Niña phase. The weather system was described as a moisture-bearing formation that intensified as it reached the eastern slopes of the Canadian Rockies and spread across Calgary's foothill region. Nearby communities such as Canmore recorded snow totals comparable to Calgary's, around 10 centimeters, while regions farther south, including Lethbridge, also experienced accumulation and issued warnings urging residents to drive with caution. What made the November 24th snowfall particularly hazardous was not simply the amount of snow, but its timing and the surface conditions it produced. Snowfall that begins overnight has a way of creating a false sense of calm. Without daytime sunlight, without busy traffic patterns, and without immediate visual evidence of deterioration, roads can accumulate thin layers of ice before dawn. When large numbers of vehicles then enter the road system in the early morning hours, the ice is polished further by tires, creating an unpredictable and slippery surface. This phenomenon is common on prairie road networks, and it is one reason why early-season snowfalls frequently lead to more collisions than storms that occur later in winter, when drivers are more accustomed to the conditions and vehicles are more likely to be equipped with proper winter tires. City officials emphasized that snow crews were working continuously, prioritizing major arteries and high-traffic corridors that support more than 20,000 vehicle trips per day. Clearing snow during an ongoing snowfall is a labor-intensive process requiring careful decisions about which routes to treat first. On November 24th, plow operators focused on clearing the busiest roads, applying sand and salt to provide traction, and ensuring that emergency services such as police, ambulance crews, and fire units could respond effectively to incidents across the city. The city's winter operations budget is designed to accommodate storms of this nature, but even with substantial resources, it is impossible to clear every residential street immediately, especially when fresh snow continues to accumulate throughout the morning. For thousands of Calgarians, the commute on November 24th was a test of patience and decision-making. Some drivers reported leaving home an hour earlier than usual, but still arriving significantly late to work due to gridlocked traffic on major routes. Others abandoned attempts to drive altogether, choosing instead to work remotely or cancel appointments. For parents driving children to school, the challenge of navigating slippery roads while maintaining a safe following distance was an additional stressor, particularly in neighborhoods with steep hills or narrow streets. The sight of vehicles struggling to gain traction, spinning tires, and slow, cautious traffic became common throughout the morning. In the downtown core, office towers slowly filled with employees recounting long commutes, unexpected detours, or harrowing moments behind the wheel. Calgary's corporate district has large underground parkades and heated indoor walkways, known as the Plus 15 network. But getting to those spaces on such a snowy morning was the difficult part. Coffee shops experienced a surge of customers seeking warmth after lengthy waits at bus stops or extended walks from distant parking spots, while others reported low morning foot traffic due to widespread delays. Meanwhile, emergency responders were stretched thin as they attempted to reach collision sites scattered across the city. Minor fender benders clogged intersections, while more serious accidents required lane closures and the temporary redirection of traffic. Intersections with heavy morning volumes, particularly along McLeod Trail and Deerfoot Trail, became hotspots for multi-vehicle collisions. The slippery conditions made braking distances unpredictable, and even drivers traveling below the posted speed limits struggled to maintain control. Residents shared images and videos online showing cars sliding down sloped roads or finding themselves unable to stop at busy intersections, moments that, while not uncommon during winter storms, reinforced the seriousness of the day's conditions. By midday, meteorologists confirmed that the snowfall had begun tapering off, though the damage had already been done in terms of transportation disruption. The official accumulation of approximately 10 centimeters placed the storm within the moderate category, but its timing amplified its effect dramatically. Unlike storms that strike in the middle of the afternoon or late at night, a storm hitting just before the morning commute tends to have a cascading impact on mobility throughout the day, as early accidents, delays, and road closures create slowdowns that persist long after the snowfall stops. In the early afternoon, as traffic volumes eased and the city's road crews made progress in clearing priority routes, conditions slowly improved. Roads became more navigable, though patches of